Galaxy Cruises and Tours.
Hello and welcome. This is Ken Mayer with Galaxy Cruises and Tours. Thank you for tuning in today. We will begin our conversation regarding Greece here in just a minute. And with our event that's going on, we do have some specials and some programs that are going on if you are interested in making a booking with us here in the next couple of weeks. So I hope to hear from you soon. And let's get started with Greece. And so today we are discussing Greece, but before I get started there, why would you use Galaxy and a travel professional? There's a lot of reasons why. I'm going to recap a few of those that we think are important to us. First would be we have a very experienced team of professional agents that are here to not only help you with your planning arrangements, but we think we'll save you time, help you avoid some hassle, and ultimately enhance your experience when you travel. We are very knowledgeable in all types of travel. We understand the booking processes. We understand the differences between a lot of the products and travel experiences that exist. And with that process, we can help you choose wisely. We certainly have an access to a wide variety of travel options. And maybe more important in today's world, there's a lot of online information, emails that come to you. We feel like we have the ability to book those very same specials on your behalf that you see in your inbox, and then bring our services, expertise, and suggestions to the table when you finalize that. And maybe ultimately, in an ever-changing world of travel, we are here with you from start to finish, from the planning, booking, preparation, to actually when you're traveling. And if something's going wrong and you need help, we are just a text or a phone call away. And we are also local residents, so we help support our own local community. We're right here where you can meet with us face to face, and we're certainly ready to help you. And we look forward to providing you some service when you're ready to go. And it's real easy to get started. When it's your time to travel, the easiest thing to do is just give us a call. We'll be happy to get the ball rolling and help get you figured out on your fantastic vacation. To, of course, Greece. So let's get into Greece here. Lots of things to talk. I'll try and keep this brief as I can. There are certainly many reasons to go to Greece, but the top on my list would be spectacular scenery and views. This is just a shot here of Santorini in the caldera, one of the villages along the edge of the volcano there in the Mediterranean Sea. But there are spectacular sceneries and views all throughout Greece, not only in the islands, but also in the mainland. This is a Mediterranean area, climate, over 6,000 islands. So you certainly have a great island experience throughout Greece. Of course, the historical experiences are unlike any place else in the world. In addition to real-life relics and ruins, you have all the mythical stories and information that's tied into those. It's an incredible place to visit for the history. They are a rich, proud culture. The people are extremely friendly, very welcoming, and maybe one of my favorite things is a very cost-friendly, healthy type of cuisine all throughout the islands as well as the mainland. While some areas will be a little bit more expensive than others, we find Greece is probably one of the more affordable destinations once you are in country for food and drink and things like that. So it's a great place to visit. There's a lot around the landscape here. It is a fairly good sized country and would be impossible to see in a week. It probably requires more than one trip, or you've got to have extended time in order to be able to see everything. And again, I'd mentioned 6,000 islands, around 200 I believe 227 of them actually have inhabitants. So it's a very spread out country when you factor in the islands. Really, three things to keep in mind here. You've got the mainland or the peninsula part of Greece. You have thousands of islands throughout the seas, and you have the Mediterranean, of course, is the main ocean, but you have the Ionian Sea on the western side of Greece. This would border between Italy and Greece. You have the Sea of Crete on the southern part of Greece, and then you have the Aegean Sea, which is in between, of course, Greece and Turkey. And with the visit of Greece, because of the amount of mountains, this is where we're going to talk about here in a second, but this is where it's hard to balance between doing a cruise versus doing a land program. I think really Greece is best visiting with both, a combination of both, so you can see certain things that are maybe more on the mainland versus the islands. And briefly, just talking a little bit about the mainland, you have a couple of different areas that I feel are the most comprehensive areas to visit. You can visit these from Athens on day trips. So Athens, which becomes a great place to join a cruise or end a cruise, could add some extended time and allow you to visit these areas as well. There are 5 UNESCO World Heritage Sites nearby, significant hiking trails. You have thermal springs, rafting, as well as some of the famous spots to visit. Olympia is not too far from here. It could again be seen on a day trip from Athens. This is part of the mainland that I think most people should explore, especially if they only had a day or two to get in that. A little bit farther away in the Thessaly region, you have Metoria, Mount Olympus, as well as some different architecture. The footsteps of Paul, the apostle, a lot of that area is in here as well. And then, of course, just nearby, you have Athens. So the mainland has a lot to offer. It just takes time to see all these things. And with Athens being kind of in a central location to many of these, you can easily day trip out if you have the time and visit some of this area. Now, the islands, again, over 6,000 of them, I really think there are kind of 3 distinct areas for the islands to consider. Crete, which is the largest island, does set quite a bit south of the country, and it is large enough that it kind of becomes its own destination. So Crete, I would call one set of islands or an island. Then you have the Ionian Islands over on the western side. This would be near the Montenegro is just north of Greece, Montenegro, and Croatia. And then across the Aegean or Ionian is Italy. So you have a very close region on that western side to Italy. And then you have maybe the more famous islands in the Cyclades, where you have Mykonos and Santorini, is right there just off the coastline from Athens. So very easy to reach those. And then the other sets of islands that are over towards Turkey become a little bit more distant to travel, but certainly great places to visit. There are cruise ships that will visit many of these islands on their itinerary. And I think I've mentioned the history and the views at the beginning, and this is really, I think, what attracts most people to Greece. You have these iconic views along the islands. You have the iconic historical ruins and the mythology around their culture. This is the reason to go to Greece and the reason to spend time there. There's a little bit of information about the Greek mythology if you need to brush up on your history and learn some of that. I can't remember all this stuff by memory, so I have to circle back to this to remind myself who is in charge and who's under who. And then you heard me talk a little bit about the cuisine, and this is, I think, some of the things that maybe makes Greek cuisine or that Mediterranean diet so popular around the world is it's very healthy and it's very good and it's mostly affordable. And I think you could find after you go to Greece that you may come back and enjoy some of their cuisine here. And I certainly enjoy a great Greek salad. But the gyros are certainly a favorite of mine. I can't wait to go back again where I can enjoy some of those in Greece. And so as you get ready to start planning for Greece, I've got a few tips that might help you with some things. So obviously planning in advance is critical here with anything. The world is traveling at unprecedented levels. You don't want to wait very long as someone else is going to beat you to the trip or the cruise or the room or whatever you're looking for. So booking in advance is important. How much in advance? Well, I can tell you that cruise ship planning runs somewhere between 15 and 24 months in advance. We are beginning to see 2027 dates and programs take shape. And so booking those early are important on a cruise. Yes, even before you could know what airfare or air schedule would be, sometimes you have to book those cruise rooms early, especially if you would be on a smaller ship. Um, I think Greece is the ideal place to travel with friends. It's a very unique, special place in the world. It has amazing views, breathtaking water, and this culture is something to share together. And so I would always just say go with your besties and do it soon. Maybe some of your besties don't travel, well, that's not a problem. You could join one of our groups and make some new besties that do travel. So going with your friends is great for Greece. And then again, I had mentioned earlier, but I think doing a cruise along with some hotel stay, balancing both of those is certainly incredible and the best way really to see everything. Because of those 6,000 plus islands, you need to get around, and the best way to get around is either a cruise ship or you can ferry. The Greek ferries are a fantastic way to travel. Um, and again, there's only 227 islands that have residents, so you're not going to be seeing all the islands, but you're going to be able to see the ones that are worth seeing. And having that balance is certainly great. That's why I recommend it. There's no wrong trip to the islands or to Greece, but I think a balance of both is my top recommendation. Now, when you should go, I will say that the biggest crowds, the tourist season is the summer. So June, July, August is your busiest. It's also the warmest, or I could say maybe hottest. So if you could avoid those 3 months, you'll see less crowds, you'll have milder temperatures, and potentially a lower cost. But I do say May and September are continuing to grow in popularity, mainly because the families and smaller children probably would not be traveling as much in those months. And so you do see a little bit more of the mature adult crowd hitting Greece in May and September. And then, of course, the winter season is kind of November through February. That's when it's the slowest, but also maybe the weather's not as ideal, would not be as warm or tropical during that winter season. March and October is kind of that shoulder area where maybe you get some decent weather and perhaps less tourists. So it is a year-round destination, but I think you're going to find most cruises are going to operate probably from late April, early May until late October. You're going to see the ferries will go year-round, but less frequency during the winter season. And then you have more things open during that, we'll just say March through October time of year. And, to start making your list on where you go, I think there's too many that I could mention here, but some of my top places that I would recommend you visit would obviously be Athens. It's kind of the flying in and out of location. Matoria up north, Delphi, the islands of Mykonos, Santorini, and Crete. If you have more time or can find a unique cruise itinerary, you might be able to incorporate Olympia, Corfu, and Rhodes into that itinerary. All of these are great places. There's probably 100 more that I could suggest, but these are the top places I would recommend that you consider trying to squeeze into your trip. Certainly, everyone always asks me, how much does it cost? Well, it's amazing value when it comes to the food and drink. When you're in destination, it becomes great value. There will be some locations where those costs will be higher. The more touristy or more crowded a place will be, it will have a higher cost than the places that are not as busy. And a prime example of that, so Santorini and Mykonos are your most popular islands to visit. They will be the most expensive for accommodations. They will be the most expensive for food. If you compared those to Crete, for example, you would probably find your Crete accommodations could be as much as half of what Santorini would cost, and you definitely would see your food cost drop as well. So there's a lot of ways to do pricing. Everything's going to vary on too many factors. There's no two trips that are alike. And I think maybe the best thing I could say is there are some of those cost conscious experiences that you can do. There are those medium to premium levels. And then you have all the way up into luxury and exclusive programs that you can do by land as well as by cruise. So almost every cruise line that I can think of would visit Greece. There are escorted tour programs that go throughout the country. There are some off-season travel dates that would have some savings. Certainly the weather during the winter is not as good for water activity. And then you could have some locations that may not be as open, but this is a year-round destination. And I think if you had to pick a date, you would want to go sometime between March and October. I don't think you would want to go in the winter, but who am I to tell you when to go? And the best time to visit is probably May through September, and that's when you're going to pay a little bit more for that. A lot of my people that travel here kind of like a structured program that comes with a tour or a cruise tour, balancing both of those things. And I do feel that is the best way to visit Greece, having both the land and the cruise incorporated. It makes it a little more hassle-free. You get more things and included, and there's a lot of things that you can take advantage of when you do those structured programs. Independent and customized travel is also extremely popular and is a great way to go. What's great for those here is you can map out how long you want to stay in a certain place, what you do each day, so that independent travel is very easy. There's ferries to get around, there's flights to get around the islands and the different destinations very well. So it's a great way to do it. We customize a lot of trips. We can help you craft that perfect itinerary to get those things in that you want, make it successful while giving you some free time and independence that you may want. So really, it's a lot of great way to go with Greece on either fashion, and maybe try not to overthink it. Just go on a trip or come with us on one of our group trips. It's really a fantastic destination to visit. And speaking of our group trips, let's talk about a few of those here, just so I can kind of lay the land of what those are. Our first upcoming one will be in May of 2026. This is called the Greek Island Hopper. It is an escorted tour program. It does involve some ferry. So what will happen is you'll come into Athens, you'll spend a few nights, you'll get some included sightseeing there in Athens, and then you're going to hop on the ferry and you're going to go over to Mykonos, and you're going to spend 3 nights in a hotel there in Mykonos. Again, they're going to give you a little bit of sightseeing, and then the rest of the time is going to be free for you to pick and choose what you would like to do. They offer some additional sightseeing. You just pay the additional cost and go. Then you're going to ferry on over to Santorini, where again, you're going to have 3 nights of hotel, some included sightseeing, as well as free time to pick and choose what you would like to do. So this is a structured program that balances a lot of free time and gives you really 3 of the most spectacular places to visit, which is Athens, Mykonos, and Santorini. I have been able to do this tour myself. It is one of my favorite ways to visit Greece. It's roughly an 11-day trip. We've added a little bit of extension time on our particular group because we think you need a few extra days in Athens to do some additional experiences, and that's what this time will give you. We're going May 12th through 25. $61.99 is our starting price. That includes your airfare, your transportation, your accommodation, many meals, as well as some sightseeing throughout the tour, and of course that free time for you to pick and choose other things to add or go self-explore on your own. And this is also an excellent trip for any single travelers because you can go have your own room, sort of do your own thing, but you're still within that group for safety and just comfortability as you move around to know that everything's laid out for you. And of course, we have a couple agents that will be traveling on that. Shannon and Wendy will be on that trip. So great way to go. We still have some space left. Hurry and join us before it's too late. Our other 2 trips are in October, and these are the cruise tour program. So we have one in 2026, which is doing a Cappadocia, which is in Turkey, and Aegean cruise tour. So you're getting the program that has both land and cruise. This is a small ship luxury cruise experience with Windstar. It's October 8th through the 25th. Carol and Bart Mayer are actually going on the trip, and you're going to get Athens for a couple of nights, including that famous Acropolis sightseeing, 8-night cruise that goes through the Corinth Canal, as well as visiting Mykonos and Santorini and Ephesus and several other outstanding places. And then you're going to do a post tour staying in land in Turkey, visiting Istanbul and Cappadocia. It's a great program to visit. It includes all the hotel and cruise accommodations, your flights, your transportation, several sightseeing things are included, all your meals on the cruise, some of your meals on the land. It's a fully planned itinerary and hosted trip. Great way to go. Small ship, luxury cruise. It's all suites, only 312 guests. This is in October of 2026. Those cruise package prices start at $10,329 for an ocean view suite, $11,689 for a balcony suite. This is a fantastic trip to go on. It's in October of 2026. Small ship, so don't wait. And then we'll be repeating a similar program, but just really more focused a little bit on Greece in 2027. It's kind of the reverse trip of that one I just spoke about. It actually starts in Istanbul and then ends in Athens. But this program is anticipating our dates to be October 5 through 20. It's going to include that 8-night Greek island cruise. It's going to begin in Istanbul. It's going to do the same stops in Ephesus, Mykonos, Santorini, the Corinth Canal. It's going to end in Athens. And then we're going to have some options here as we begin to develop the program to stay over in a hotel in Santorini or Crete or both. Do not quite have all that pre and post laid out yet for 2027. This is 2027, 2 years away. But the cruise is a small ship again, 312 guests. Getting your space on the cruise becomes a little bit more critical. That's why we're starting this so early. While I don't have final details, we think our Istanbul and Athens hotels plus transportation and flights will put this program around $8,000 per person. There is a promotional rate on this cruise that provides beverages, Wi-Fi, and gratuities, and taxes are included. So it's a more inclusive rate on this program. And then hopefully in the next few months, we'll begin developing the optional extended stay if you wanted to go to Santorini and Crete, and what those costs will end up being. So again, this is kind of a projected cost, $8,000 to $9,500 for the balcony suite for airfare, a couple of nights in Istanbul, a couple of nights in Athens, and the cruise. If you want to stay over longer, those will have some added cost on it. This is October 2027. A great ship, great experience again in Greece. And of course, there's all kinds of ways to do Greece. So when you're ready to start planning, we would encourage you to give us a call. We'll get the ball rolling, sit down with you and have some conversation and figure out what the best trip for you to go on. There are some specials going on right now if you book something in the next couple of weeks. Some special offers, of course, with Windstar and our Greek Island Hopper tour on our group trips that are going next year. So please come with us or let us help you plan your next trip to Greece.
GalaxSea cruises and tours, helping connect you to the world